Welcome back, or welcome to Recovering Out Loud podcast. I'm Anthony. I'm an addict and alcoholic. Been in recovery since 2015. Relapsed after 7.5 years. Now I have almost 2 years sober, clean and sober again today. And I want to talk about, what do you do when somebody in your circle relapses? Someone close to you, someone that you love, someone that you maybe thought was going to do well in recovery, and then just out of nowhere, you've heard that they relapse. This happens to all of us. A lot of us. I shouldn't say all. There are no absolutes in recovery, but the chances are you have a better chance of relapsing in recovery than you do of staying sober. And that's just because of the numbers, the way the things are, things are today in addiction recovery. The numbers don't favor us. They told me when I went into my rehab that 1 in 10 of us were going to make it out, I think. And that was in 2015. They told us that. The chances are not good. If you stay in touch with the people that you go to rehab with, most of them are going to relapse and some of them are going to pass away, unfortunately. I've buried a lot of people in the last 10 years that I've been doing this, 11 years I've been doing this. It's part of the unfortunate nature of addiction and recovery. You're going to know people that are going to pass away. Your phone is going to ring, and unfortunately, on the other end of that is going to be, hey, did you hear that thing? Blank relapsed, blank passed away. Sad, sad nature, but it is the reality. So I want to lead with a feeling that nobody admits, the quiet relief that it was them and not you. And I don't mean dying, I mean relapsing. So when we're talking about relapse, there's this sort of uncomfortable thing when somebody relapses that maybe you can feel that, yeah, of course they did. That's what we do. We're addicts and alcoholics. Doesn't mean that it's any less sad or any less tragic, but it's scary, right? This is all very scary when people relapse because the way we use leads us toward our grave, unfortunately. So I've been to 3 different rehabs, and I'll tell you, every single time I've been, there's been more people that have relapsed than stayed sober, with probably exception to the one that I went to in Utah, because that program was very intense and it kept people there for longer after. They did sober living after. I think most people relapse after rehab because they don't go to extended care living. They don't go to sober living. Every time I've went, I've had to go to sober living after, and it saved my life. The second time I went to sober living after my Utah treatment, I was getting married. Things were happening fast. So I wasn't practicing my recovery program. And then I relapsed within 3 months of that treatment center and sober living. The best path, the most successful path, the highest outcome is the people that go to sober living after. The lowest outcome are the people, and you know these people because there's many of them, that finish rehab, think that they're cured, everything is good. I'm going to go back to the way I was living, the environment I was living in, and not change a thing. The chances are you're going to relapse if you don't change anything about your living environment, the support system around you, and you just go back to the same place that you were before. This is why sober living is so important. Enough of that. I want to talk about what you can do when somebody in your circle relapses, when somebody around you that you love goes back out. How to be of service, how to not enable, how to support. Let's get into it. So, section 1, fear. There's 2 sides of fear, honestly. There's fear for them. So the real, sometimes life or death fear, especially when relapse can mean overdose. And then there's the fear for yourself. If it got them, it could get me. Watching someone with more time or more tools go out is genuinely frightening to your own sense of safety. Yeah, I remember my first rehab. There was a guy there that was a Mr. Recovery, star of recovery. Nobody thought he was going to relapse, and he did. I'm not sure how he's doing today, but I remember thinking to myself, man, if that guy can relapse, what does that mean for me? I never thought that that guy would relapse. Now, today, I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not surprised when people relapse because we're addicts and alcoholics. It's what we do. Like I said in the beginning, there's a better chance that you're going to relapse than not relapse. I'll also tell you this. My counselor in Minnesota, my first treatment center that I went to when I was 23 years old, said to me, Anthony, you don't have to be another statistic. And he was right. I cultivated 7.5 years of sobriety from 23 to almost 33. I had a great recovery program because I followed direction and I did what I was asked to do. I followed people that had what I wanted, and I stayed connected and current to that program that I went to. If you follow the direction of the counselors and the people in your life that have sobriety and have expertise, your chances go through the roof. If you don't follow them and you do your own thing again, I don't even need to say it. Your chances are less than average. It's not going to be good if you do things your way again. My way got me into hotel rooms using copious amounts of drugs until all hours of the morning. What did your way get you to? My way did not get me to contented sobriety. I'll tell you that much. And it never does. My way gets me to resentment today. My way gets me to fear, gets me to self-pity, gets me to self. It's all about me. So why fear is useful, not just scary? Fear is information. It can sharpen your own vigilance without tipping it into paranoia. So yes, we can be aware that there's a healthy fear of me relapsing here. And now I can change some things, act differently, sharpen my recovery skills, go to more meetings, do more step work, whatever your program is. So first was grief, second, fear. Section two, grief. Talked about fear, let's talk about grief. So grieving the person while they're still here. So this is close to anticipatory grief and disenfranchised grief, grief that others don't recognize as legitimate. You're mourning the version of them you knew in recovery, the relationship as it was, the trust. I'm going to tell you something. When somebody relapses, and this has happened to me in my circle, when somebody relapsed in my circle, they become a completely different person. I had to block a guy once because he was off the handle, freaking out, spamming me, yelling at me, texting me, completely different person. It was sad to lose that person in my life. I felt like I lost them, even though they were still alive. When relapse becomes loss of life, if you've lost someone, that's painful. It's happened to me. Okay. The longer you do this recovery thing, the more people you will hear about passing away. Like I said, it's sad. And it's sad when someone dies and our first assumption is they overdosed or it was drug related. It's sad. Let's be honest. If I die tomorrow, that'll be most people's first thought is, oh, it must have been related to drugs, especially because I'm so open about my recovery today. I don't blame them. I'm a drug addict. It's what we do. We relapse and we die, unfortunately, but not all of us. Boy, this episode is getting off to a real dark start. There's a lot of hope in this and a lot of light. And again, you don't have to be another statistic. So I want to keep this episode a little bit light, but also show you the true reality of the situation. People around you are going to relapse. People around you are most likely going to pass away. You don't need to be one of them. And you can extend your arm and be supportive when somebody does relapse so that they can avoid death. I also want to say though too, is at the end of the day, you can't keep anyone alive. You can't keep anyone sober. We don't have control over that. All we have control over is our actions. And you already know that, but it's true. Grief isn't betrayal. You can grieve someone who's still alive and still love them. It's not giving up on them. So you can love someone from a distance. You can check in on them when they've relapsed. Hey, want to go to a meeting? Hey, how are you doing? Hey, I'm thinking about you. That's what I do. Okay, next we have guilt. So the what if I'd blank loop. The text you didn't send, the meeting you didn't invite them to, the warning sign you think you missed. You're not the reason someone relapsed and you were never in control of it. But our brains can do these things where it's like, yeah, but what if I knew a guy that got murdered when I was in my second year of sobriety, the first time around. So in 2017, one of my friends from high school got murdered and he was into this lifestyle. I wouldn't say he's a drug addict or alcoholic, but he used recklessly and he was hanging out with reckless people and doing reckless things. There was points where he asked me to go to a meeting and it just never worked out. I went to go pick him up and he changed his mind. And there's all these things that went through my mind and said, what if I did this differently? What if I tried harder? What if I reached out more? What if I picked him up or just showed up at his house? And I had no control over that. I had to accept the fact when I went to his funeral, I got a lot of closure in that I apologized to him and I felt that I was forgiven in that moment. But it only happened when I showed up and I said a prayer at his funeral and I had to grieve him because it was sad. He changed and I felt like I lost my childhood friend and we were childhood friends for a long time. You can't cause anyone to relapse. And just the same way you can't keep anyone sober. Okay, next we have the survivor type guilt. So this is like the Titanic, I survived and everyone else didn't. You get guilt from surviving addiction and other people don't. The feeling of why am I sober and they're not can be heavy and irrational all at once. Then we have the both sides view. So when I relapsed, here's my side of it. When I relapsed, the only thing that helped me is when people around me just stayed close in contact. They texted me and said, they called me and said, hey, I'm thinking about you. Want to go to a meeting? Hey, how are you doing? Hey, just checking in. Hey, I'm thinking about you. Those are the only things that worked for me. They started to pierce my armor. I talk about this on my podcast a lot. My wife did this thing where she sent me pictures of us in recovery, in sobriety, and said, I missed this. This was an amazing time. Remember this. And she wrote a whole paragraph. That might work. It worked for me. It pierced through the armor. It didn't get me sober right away, but it made me feel guilty about using, and losing my relationships. It made losing my relationships feel more real than they actually were, feel closer than they actually were. Yelling at someone and telling them they need to get sober and change their life is not going to do anything. So just stay connected to them, text them, call them once in a while and just check in, see how they're doing. Hey, want to go to a meeting? Hey, want to do this? Want to go for coffee? I'm here when you're ready. That's another powerful one. I'm here when you're ready. Okay, 4, relief that it wasn't you. So the taboo, this is the flash of relief. Thank God it wasn't me, and the immediate shame for feeling it. This does not make you a bad person. It makes you human and afraid. So if I'm being honest, I don't know that I've ever had this feeling of thank God it wasn't me. I've had a feeling of gratitude for being sober when somebody's relapsed, but ultimately I just feel sad for them and I want to help them because I know what it's like to be in a relapse. Also, I know that I couldn't be told to get sober. And so I know that nobody could get me sober when I relapsed. And so when somebody relapses today, there's this acceptance of lack of power that comes through my mind. But that doesn't mean that I don't need to connect with them and text them and call them and take them to a meeting. I can still do all of those things. And I do. I try. So where the relief actually comes from, it's not gladness at their pain. You're not happy that they relapsed. Maybe you are, but I'm not. It's your nervous system registering that you're still safe. Different thing entirely. So what to do with the shame underneath that? Shame festers in silence. Naming the relief to yourself, to someone safe, takes its power away. Get it out. What to do with all of it? Section 5. Protect your own sobriety first. When somebody relapses around you, always, always, always put your sobriety first. Because if one person relapses and then you relapse with them, you're both screwed. Nobody can help anybody. Put your sobriety first so that you can be of service to other people first and foremost. Get your sobriety in order. Clean your house. Stay connected yourself so that you can help them when they're ready. You can't pour from an empty cup. Supporting someone in relapse while neglecting your own program is how 2 people go down instead of 1. Boundaries aren't abandonment. You can love someone, hold the door open, and still not set yourself up on fire. Set yourself on fire to keep them warm. What support looks like versus what enabling looks like. Yeah, so enabling is maybe you're letting them crash on your couch and they're continuing to use. Maybe you're giving them money. Well, that's a good one. You're paying their bills. You're buying them groceries. It sounds harsh, but you're enabling. Anything that enabling is preventing the natural consequences of their addiction. I'm going to say that again. Enabling is when you prevent the natural consequences of their addiction. Whatever that looks like, whatever natural consequence should have happened, you got in the way of that. That's enabling. You let them sleep on your couch, sleep off a hangover. You continually let them sleep off a hangover. You feed them when that money goes towards drugs instead of groceries now. They find money to use drugs. They didn't need to buy groceries because you bought them for them. Enabling. Support is when you allow the natural consequences of their addiction and show up and say, hey, I'm here. I'm here when you're ready. I can't continue to watch you kill yourself slowly, but I'm going to be here when you're ready. When you want to go to a meeting, call me. When you want to go for coffee, call me. But I am not going to continue to partake in your addiction. I will not support your addiction going forward. Put the feelings somewhere. Sponsor, therapist, trusted friend, journaling. You need outlets. Get it out. Talk about it. Write it down. Don't stew on it and dwell in your pain. Clear the mental bandwidth, emotional bandwidth from yourself. Stay open without chasing. Relapse is often part of the story, not the end of it. You can hold hope for them without making their recovery your responsibility. Don't let them drag you down with them. You can be there without being dragged down with them. Fear, grief, guilt, relief, all at once. All normal. None of them make you a bad person. The goal is to feel them honestly and not bury them. I've been on both sides of this, guys. I've watched people relapse close to me. I've watched people go back out. And I've also been the guy that's gone back out where people have been trying to help me. You cannot get anyone else sober, just like you cannot make anyone else relapse. Take care of your own recovery. The most powerful line you can use is, hey, I'm here when you're ready. Simple as that. And then when they reach out for help, you move mountains to help them get sober within your, obviously, emotional capacity. Guys, if you're not following the show, please follow the show on whatever platform you listen on. Thank you for all of your support. If no one has told you this yet today, I love you. And remember, recovery is simple, not easy.